Hey everyone, welcome to drinknectar.com. I'm your host, Josh Wade, and this is the internet's place to explore the five senses of coffee and wine. Tonight we are an amazing time on Twitter, Facebook, across the world, tasting Chardonnay. Awesome props to Rick Backus from St. Supery Winery. Big kudos for getting your sommelier, master sommelier, passing that exam, and then also for your book coming out, Quick Bites. Can't wait to read it. Ordered my copy today, but you have been just a super wine advocate on in social media, promoting all things wine. And tonight we were tasting Chardonnay all the way from France, New Zealand. Talked to a guy from China. I'm sure just all over other places in the world. 2,500 tweets, 550, maybe 600 users. We'll see how it all pans out in the end. I need to move through these quickly because we have 4 wines. I don't think I've ever done 4 wines on here. Look at the notes for the details. I'll give you the overall impressions of the wines so you can see the labels, you can talk, we can hear what we're about. St. Supery 2009 oak-free Chardonnay. $22. What else can I say about this wine? Brand new release, never seen oak. Very yellow-green in color. Let's give it the sniff. Bright, big bright fruit. A little bit of minerality. You can definitely tell there's some citrus in there. Bright and bold is all I can say. Pretty aromatic, really. Just jumps out of the glass. Let's give it a sip. Okay, so the underlying tone, you can definitely tell that Chardonnay is the underlying tone, but huge citrus play, acid, effervescence, just a lot happening in this wine. Feels a little disjointed, but flavorful with pineapple and citrus. So if you're thinking of a Chardonnay that's going to be round and work well with like a salmon, you might be a little shocked by this. So save this one more as something you're going to pair with spicy food because it has that acid on the back end. So moving on to the next wine. Got a very interesting container from Mer Soleil. This is their silver. This was actually fermented in concrete containers. And this is a ceramic container, beautiful bottle, gets a lot of attention when I post photos about it. This is a yellow gold kind of color as opposed to the last one, which is more of a green yellow color. Let's give it a sniff. Okay, so subdued notes on this one, a little bit of floral components, tight, like a honeydew melon and pear, so some of those fruits that really aren't very dramatic, and that's what's coming across there in this particular bouquet. Let's give it a sip. So this wine is one that would be more reminiscent of a Chardonnay that you'd be familiar with. Has a little more of that roundness in the mouthfeel, not flabby, not oaked, of course. And then there's this kind of minerality play on the back end. The acidity isn't quite as heavy and isn't quite as bright as the first wine with the St. Supery. But the fruit's not overwhelming either. You get a lot of fruit, that pineapple and citrus fruit on the first wine. This one's still really mellow on fruit. But it has a great play all the way across. So the balance of it is what is intriguing about this one. As you can tell, is that well-made balance from front to back, and the finish is great. So I'll provide a little bit more detail in the notes because I have more I want to say. But we'll move on to the third wine, which is from Washington State. Oh, by the way, this one was $35-ish. This wine on the other end of the spectrum is only $10. 2006 Washington Chardonnay from Kiona Vineyards, Kiona Winery. Has a little bit of Marsanne, a little bit of Roussanne, 25% oak. So a little bit of a combination between stainless steel and oak. Put this one forward there. Color on this one is the lightest of the 3. This is just more of a straw color, almost clear, pretty clean. Nothing really cloudy in there other than the piece of cork that's floating around. Let's give it a sip. Okay, so something in this wine, I didn't do the sniff and I apologize, but something in this wine strikes me as a little out of character, and I can't quite figure out what it is. But seems a little I don't know. $10 is not bad. It's not an off wine. I wouldn't score it in the high scores, but I mean, shoot, for something you're going to drink, as a daily drinker or whatever, it's going to be a superb in there Chardonnay. I'll see if I can expand it more in the notes of what I'm tasting and what I'm smelling. Let's move on to the last wine, which is the 2007 barrel fermented Soleil as well from California. Same manufacturer as the silver container. This one is something you would want to exchange your currency in for, because it is gold. Oh, so golden, and with today's stock market weirdness, you may want to stock up on this and use it as currency in the future. Let's give it a sniff. I like what this one's doing in the nose. It has some honey, has some sugar components that are coming through in there. The fruit is more like of a melon, but not a honeydew melon, more like a cantaloupe. Maybe not quite that citrusy. So in between is just some sort of melon component in there. It smells actually really good. It's got a great kind of little flowery component as well. So really intriguing about this wine of how it's going to taste, because it just has somewhat of a very interesting nose. All right, so being the only one of the four that saw a significant amount of time fermenting in oak, you definitely can tell that. It's not overly oaked, there's no oak monster. It's actually extremely well balanced, well played. It's got that traditional Chardonnay mouthfeel in the front where it just wraps your tongue in a blanket. But then the back end, which is really cool, is the acidity takes all of that and just cleanses it right out. And it's got a decent finish. I call it an above average finish. The fruit plays in there. You have a little bit of citrus. You get that small little amount of oak, vanilla oak that comes through in there. Not a big, huge apple play for me. I'd call it more of that honey and that melon components in there. So your typical apple-y, apple pie Chardonnay is not that, but super well made wine. Overall, had a fantastic time tweeting tonight. 500, 600 people, 2,000 tweets, amazing time. Rick Backus, you are a rock star. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Frank Loves Wine, Twitter, Frank Loves Wine, for sending me a couple of these wines, and then for Rick Backus for sending me the St. Supery wine, and for JJ at Kiona Wine for providing this Chardonnay. I want to give you as much detail as I can in the notes, but I thank you for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at Nectar Wine, and stay tuned for WA Wine coming up June 3rd. All the information is scrolling across the screen or in the notes. Hope to see you there. Drink happy.